So now we'll start with the female reproductive system in the angiosperms. Okay. Now, when we talk about female reproductive system, it is known as gynoecium. This gynoecium is gonna have stigma, style, and a swollen base called as ovary. So there are three distinct parts in the so-called gynoecium. The receptacle which receives pollen grain is known as stigma. Then elongated tube is known as style, and the swollen base is known as ovary. So there are three distinct parts in gynoecium: stigma, style, and ovary. The so-called stigma, as I told, it is receptacle. Receptacle means what? The one which receives. So imagine that this is the stigma. Pollen grain is gonna come and it's gonna settle onto the so-called stigma. Since stigma is receiving pollen grain, that is why we call it as receptacle. Okay? Then style is meant for penetration of pollen tube. Ovary is the one which is gonna develop into fruit. But if there are many carpels, if there are many gynoecium sets in the flower, at that time the so-called ovary can either be free or fused. Now, if you have free type of ovary, we call it as apocarpus. And if it is fused, we call it as syncarpus. So we have two conditions, apocarpus and syncarpus condition. Now, what exactly is there within the ovary? If we carefully analyze, there is an axis to which you have ovules being attached. You have already studied in first PU part that arrangement of ovules in ovary is known as placentation. So let us try to analyze the structure of ovule. Okay. How exactly does ovule look like? This is second 5-mark question which can be asked from this particular chapter. So let us try to draw this ovule and analyze it. It is quite important. If I have to rate cross section of anther and so-called ovule, I would give more preference to ovule because number of labelings are more in ovule and there is less number of labelings in anther. So I would preferably, have this been given in examination. So how to draw this? Just draw an egg. To this egg, we will add one cap-like structure called as nucellus. To this nucellus, we add layers called as integuments. Okay. So we have embryo sac at the center, which is being surrounded by so-called nucellus. Further, nucellus is covered by integuments, and then there is one swollen structure called as hilum, and then you have a stalk called as funicle, which gets connected to the placenta. That is the central part. This region is known as placenta. This is known as funicle. Here we have hilum. So we need to label it. As I told you earlier that diagrams without labeling will carry no marks. So centralmost region, what is this known as? It is known as embryo sac. What is embryo sac surrounded by? It is surrounded by nutritive tissue called as nucellus. It is not nucleus, it is nucellus. Then nucellus is surrounded by integuments. Inner integument, and outer integument. Then, if you carefully analyze this structure, there is small pore being present on top. We call this as micropylar end. And the pore is known as micropore. Then the basal part, the lower part of this particular ovule is known as chalazal end. If we move towards this region, as I told you, the swollen part is known as hilum. Last year in morphology of flowering plants, we did talk about hilum. I told you that on a dicot seed, you will see small scar-like structure. That scar on the seed is nothing but this region known as hilum. Okay? Then stalk of ovule is known as funicle. Okay? So this is how you draw the diagram of so-called ovule. Okay? I repeat again, you draw an egg-shaped structure called as embryo sac, which is surrounded by nucellus. Then you have integuments, micropylar end, chalazal end, hilum, funicle. It is very simple to draw. Imagine that someone has gone to pilgrimage, like for Hajj or Umrah. When they go there, they will shave their head. So यहाँ पर shaved head person को draw करना है. सर मुंडाने के बाद इंडिया को जब आते हैं, सिर पे टोपी रहती है, तो टोपी पिनाओ नेक्स्ट. अब टोपी पिनाने के बाद उनके दिल में क्या ख्वाहिश है, बाल एकदम छोटे हो गए थे, अब बड़े करेंगे. नाउ ही नीड्स टू ग्रो हेयर, तो एकदम बड़े बड़े बाल जुल्फों के साथ ड्रॉ करते हैं. ठीक है, तो फाइनली एक आलू कब की जाते जाते सिर पे मार लग गया तो आलू आ जाता है यहाँ पे. दिस इज हाउ यू ड्रॉ द डायग्राम ऑफ ovule. Very important for examination. Let us now count the number of labelings, because you will not get exactly 10 labelings when you draw this entire diagram. But according to the rule in the board, you need to give at least 10 labelings, half mark for each labeling. So let us count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We are just short of one labeling. Now if you see your textbook, you will not get one more labeling. अब एक और labeling कहाँ से लाना? ठीक है. Now what we will do is, we will explore the central region. We will try to enlarge embryo sac, what you see in other image, in other pages. If we actually analyze embryo sac, in this we have 7-celled 8 nuclei condition. I'll talk about it, how that 7-celled 8 nuclei condition will develop. We will talk about it. Let us try to draw and analyze the structure. We just have to draw 2 large cells over here, which will have another cell being associated with this. We call these 3 cells towards micropylar end as egg apparatus. Why do we call it as egg apparatus? It is because you have 2 synergid cells and 1 egg cell. So there are 2 synergids and 1 egg cell. Now, followed by this, centrally located polar nuclei is there. And at bottom we see 3 distinct cells called as antipodal cells. So this is structure of ovule. What type of ovule? If we try to explore neat, we call this as anatropous ovule. Okay. So anatropous ovule is quite commonly available in maximum angiosperms. That is why it has been given in the syllabus, which means the other type of ovules will be asked in NEET. Already in the year 2016, they have asked about bent embryo sac being present in ovule. Okay. We will study about those different type of ovules. I'll draw it and show it to you. Okay. Now, moving ahead, let us analyze how is this structure developing. Then I'll talk about different type of ovules. Now the process where this ovule is gonna develop with embryo sac is known as megasporogenesis. Like in reproduction in organisms, I already told you, whenever you have word genesis being added, it means it is process of formation. Formation of what? The previous term, formation of megaspore. The process of formation of megaspore is known as megasporogenesis. Megasporangium is nothing but ovule. How is this ovule developing? If you remember, we told that on a plant, we see a small bud growing out. If florigen hormone, flower producing hormones are being generated over here, this bud is gonna develop into flower. Supposingly if leaf primordial hormones will develop, it's gonna develop into so-called leaf. Okay? So if leaf primordial hormones will assemble here, it's gonna develop into leaf. If florigen hormone will get assimilated in this part, it's gonna develop into a flower. Okay? This is actually what is happening in this case. But reminding you people, initially when florigen hormone will settle over here, it's gonna develop a specialized tissue called as archisporial mother cell. Now, reminding you people, I've already told you that whenever I use blue pen or when I go to extreme corners of right by drawing a line, that means it is for neat. Okay? So archisporial cell is developed by the action of an hormone called as florigen. This archisporial mother cell will divide by mitosis and then form two daughter cells. And the names of daughter cells remain same what we talked in microsporogenesis. That is primary sporogenous tissue and on other side we have primary parietal cell. Primary sporogenous tissue and primary parietal cell. The primary parietal cell in case of microsporogenesis developed 4 wall layers. Even here, primary parietal cell is gonna develop integuments and nucellus, which is outer wall layer. So outer wall layer will be developed by that cell. What is the function of sporogenous tissue? It is now gonna differentiate into MMC. The pattern till here remains same in both microsporogenesis as well as in megasporogenesis. Schematic representation remains same till this point. From here, MMC will be called something different. There it was microspore mother cell. Here it is megaspore mother cell. This megaspore mother cell for the first time will undergo meiosis. What will happen if meiosis is happening in a diploid cell? It's gonna form 4 daughter cells. We discussed that earlier too. So here it's gonna develop into 4 daughter cells, but they form linear tetrad. If you remember in microsporogenesis, it was forming a clustered tetrad. But in case of megasporogenesis, it's gonna develop into a linear tetrad. Till this step, we call this process as megasporogenesis. Means development of megasporangium. Further development is like upper 3 cells get degenerated. Usually होता है नहीं, जो अपने आप को अकड़ दिखाते हैं, they are being finished. ठीक है? नहीं? God usually doesn't like people who are very much arrogant or adamant. ठीक है? तो cells which were there on top, which were telling that we are on top, those cells got degenerated, and the one who is at the bottom, he will take responsibility of formation of entire embryo sac. Since one cell is gonna form entire embryo sac. This type of growth is known as monosporic development. Okay, it is known as monosporic development. I'll write it a little bit here. So it is known as monosporic development. Okay. Why? Because it is developing from single cell. Now, what exactly is this structure known as? It is known as linear tetrad. Okay, it is known as linear tetrad. Now, this particular cell is gonna develop into entire embryo sac. That is what I told. And the steps from here is known as mega gametogenesis. What exactly is mega gametogenesis? It is process or phenomena where the lowermost megaspore cell is gonna divide and cover up entire area. How exactly is mode of division? This particular cell, upper three cells got degenerated. This will enlarge itself and the cell will come at the center. After coming at the center, it's gonna divide by mitosis and form two daughter cells. After forming two daughter cells, each cell shall migrate towards opposite pole. So these cells are migrating towards opposite pole. Once they migrate towards opposite pole, these cells are gonna divide further. The cell will divide to form 4 cells. From 4 cells, we see 8-celled condition being formed. After 8 cells are being formed, now comes turn for alignment. You remember embryo sac diagram what we drew? That diagram is gonna be developed by these cells. Okay? So, one of the cell from opposite poles, one from micropylar end and one from chalazal end will move or migrate towards center. So, we have 3 cells on micropylar end, 3 cells on antipodal cell end or chalazal end, and centrally we find 2 cells being present. Now this structure is gonna transform into embryo sac like structure. In embryo sac, as I told you, you have egg apparatus towards micropylar end, antipodal cells towards chalazal end, and centrally located polar nuclei. These cells have got some peculiar features. The so-called synergids. The so-called synergids will have specialized finger-like appendages. These finger-like appendages are known as filiform apparatus. This filiform apparatus has got unique feature. See, it releases chemicals. If you remember the gynoecium diagram what I had drawn over here, which had stigma, style, and a swollen base called as ovary. Where is this structure being present? It is within ovule, right? This is ovule. Within this ovule, you have that 7-celled 8 nuclei condition called as embryo sac or female gametophyte, this structure. Okay? Now, pollen grain is gonna fall onto the stigma, somewhere here. After pollen grain falls onto the stigma, how is that pollen grain is exactly going at this point? It is not deviating somewhere from center, it is not coming out from here. Now, it is exactly moving down and reaching towards ovule. This is mainly because this filiform apparatus continuously releases chemicals These chemicals will attract that pollen tube towards so-called filiform apparatus. Okay, so what is character of filiform apparatus or function of synergids? It helps in attracting pollen tube. Like you must have seen an ad in TV, Pond's ad. It will come like, "Ye khushbu hai ya jadoo." Okay, one person gets attracted towards that fragrance. So similarly, these structures called as filiform apparatus, they release chemicals. Continuously they release chemicals. These chemicals are doing what? They are attracting pollen tube. Exactly come here. So pollen tube is attracted towards synergid cells by specialized cells known as filiform apparatus. So that is work of synergids. What is the role of egg cell? Egg cell is the one which is gonna form zygote. It is this cell which is gonna develop into embryo, and that embryo will transform everything into seed. So ovule is gonna develop into seed. That entire structure which is being shown over here, this entire structure is gonna develop into seed. Whereas wall of ovary is gonna develop into fruit. Very important point. Ovule will develop into seed, ovary will develop into fruit. So within so-called embryo sac, it is this cell which is gonna form zygote embryo. Now moving ahead, centrally located two cells are there which are initially separate, binucleated in its condition, but later on they fuse their nucleus and become diploid. So you have diploid nucleus, and this cell is known as polar nuclei, which is also known as central cell. Polar nuclei or central cell. Okay. Now, last but not least, here we have antipodal cells. What is function of antipodal cells? See, antipodal cells will extract nutrition from the nutritive layer surrounding embryo sac. What is this nutritive layer known as? It is known as nucellus. We already drew nucellus in ovule structure. So nucellus is nutritive tissue which is filled with nutrition. This nutrition will be attracted by so-called antipodal cells, and it will give it to developing embryo sac. But that part is for boards. Obviously whatever is there in NCERT is important for NEET. But for NEET we always give extra points. Here extra point is antipodal cell will also act like a substitute to the egg cell. Substitute to the egg cell. It means sometimes egg cell will fail to fuse with male gamete. It will reject male gamete. At that time antipodal cell will tell, I am ready to fuse. So at that time antipodal cells will take up the charge and it will act like an egg cell, form zygote. Zygote will develop into embryo, and it's gonna develop into seed. So that was about megasporogenesis. Please make sure that you know this point, that till this region where you have megaspore tetrad being formed, it is known as megasporogenesis. After this step, when you have 7-celled 8 nuclei condition developed, where are those 7-celled 8 nuclei? Let us count this. Cell number 1, cell number 2, cell number 3, cell number 4, 5, 6, 7. Totally 7 cells. But the number of nuclei, this one initially was 2, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 7-celled 8 nuclei condition is seen, and this process of development of 7-celled 8 nuclei condition is known as megagametogenesis. ठीक है. So now we'll talk about different type of ovules, which is important for NEET. The structure and definitions remain important in this case. We'll start with the first one, wherein there is embryo sac being surrounded by nucellus. This character remains same, but the so-called micropylar end and funicle lies in the same plane. It lies in one axis in 180 degrees Celsius. Okay, this straight line is being formed between micropylar end and chalazal end. We call such kind of ovule as orthotropous ovule. The one what we drew for boards was anatropous ovule, wherein you had an embryo sac which was surrounded by nucellus. This nucellus had got integuments, and if you remember, the so-called funicle was lying parallel to the micropylar end. So when you have funicle and micropyle lying parallel to each other, this process or this type of image is gonna be known as anatropous ovule. Please remember, for NEET, you either need to remember definition or you need to remember what you say, diagram. Very important. Okay? So, anatropous ovule, orthotropous ovule. Then you have a condition where the so-called embryo sac has got funicle facing a 90-degree angle with respect to so-called funicle. So there is a right angle triangle being made. So 90-degree angle. I'm sorry, this is not Celsius, this is angle. Okay. So 90-degree angle is being formed over here. Here it is 180 degree. So here this diagram is known as hemi-anatropous ovule, wherein the so-called embryo sac is gonna form bent structure. Exact 90-degree angle is being formed between funicle with respect to what is a micropylar end. Then comes campylotropous. What is the condition seen in campylotropous? It is again having almost 90-degree angle, but the mouth, micropylar mouth, is not exactly to the 90-degree angle, or it is not present above the so-called embryo sac. Rather, this mouth is facing towards bottom or earth. Okay? So it is like this. This is funicle. This is embryo sac. These are integuments. So even here we see that micropylar end and so-called funicle is lying parallel, but there is bent shaped or bent ovule being found. Here it is completely bent and it becomes quite parallel. You can clearly differentiate the differences. Okay? This is known as campylotropous. Then we go for cercinotropous and amphitropous. I would erase this. Now, what exactly is the condition seen in amphitropous ovule? In case of amphitropous ovule, we observe that the so-called embryo sac is bent and it is horseshoe shaped. This is the question which has been asked already in NEET examination. Which ovule or which type of ovule has got bent horseshoe shaped embryo sac? And the answer is so-called, amphitropous. So what is the condition over here? This particular end is known as nucellus, and when we see the mouth, it is completely bent and it is facing towards funicle. So micropylar end completely gets faced, or it is facing towards the so-called stalk called as funicle. This is unique feature. The question what they had asked in NEET, as I told you, is which embryo sac or which ovule has got bent horseshoe shaped embryo sac. So horseshoe shaped embryo sac. This was a question. What is the other type of question which can expect from this particular ovule? The so-called micropyle facing towards funicle. No other ovule is having micropyle facing towards funicle. It is only in this case. Okay? So we have bent micropylar end and it is facing towards funicle. Amphitropous. The last one is Cercinotropous. What is the condition being observed in Cercinotropous type? Here we see that there is an embryo sac. This particular embryo sac is covered by nucellus. Then you have integuments. Almost till here, the so-called ovule looks like an orthotropous or an anatropous. But there is a twist. We see that the so-called embryo sac will have its funicle forming a loop right in front of the mouth of micropylar end and then gets connected to the bottom. So there is a long tube which gets what you say covered, or it will form an envelope right in front of the mouth of so-called micropylar end and then gets connected at the bottom. This kind of ovule is known as Cercinotropous ovule. Moving ahead, we talk about pollination. This is quite an important topic. The 3-mark questions in board exam is mainly expected from this topic. Okay? So if we have to give some weightage to the previous part what we have discussed, embryo sac diagram can be asked for 3 mark. As I told you earlier, the cross section of anther is for 5 mark and anatropous ovule is also for 5 mark. So let us talk what exactly is pollination. This is for boards as well as for NEET, but mainly for boards. What is pollination? Process of transfer of pollen from anther to stigma. Process of transfer of pollen from anther to stigma is known as pollination. Process where pollen grain from male part is gonna be transferred to the stigma, that is female part, is known as pollination. There are 3 different types of pollination. Self-pollination, under which we have autogamous type. What exactly is autogamous? Auto means self. Gamy means marriage. If someone is marrying himself, that is known as autogamous type. Okay? People take sannyas. They will not marry. They will be bachelor for throughout their life. Okay? They have married themselves. Such kind of category is known as self-pollination according to biology. Auto means self. Gamy means marriage. So we have autogamous condition being observed with respect to so-called some plants. Which are those plants especially? And what is definition of autogamy? Autogamy is a condition where transfer of pollen from anther to stigma is happening. But, same dialogue, but it is within the same flower. If I have to draw the flower, say this is the anther, and you have stigma, style, and a swollen base called as ovary. So what will happen over here? Anther will dehisce, release pollen grain. The pollen grain will fall onto the stigma of the same flower. This condition where pollen of the same flower is falling onto the stigma of same flower is known as autogamy. Okay? Now, what are the examples? We have cleistogamous flower. What are cleistogamous flowers? These are the flowers who always remain closed. They never open up. They are always in a closed condition. And there is another variety of the flower which also come under autogamy called as chasmogamous. What are chasmogamous flower? These are the flowers which will open up after pollination. So see the difference. Cleistogamous flower remain closed always, even after growth. Even after pollen grain falls onto the stigma, the flower is always closed. It is not opening up. But how about chasmogamous flower, second variety which is there under autogamous type? Chasmogamous flower. These flower open up after fertilization or after pollination. Okay? They will wait till pollen grain will fall onto the stigma. Once pollen grain will fall onto the stigma, the flower will bloom. How about cleistogamous flower? They never bloom. That is the difference, and in both the cases, they have been given under self-pollination or autogamous flower. Autogamous means what? Pollen of the same flower is gonna fall onto the stigma of same flower. Okay? Now, let us try to give some examples. The textbook gives example for both. Common example for both is oxalis, camelina, and viola. Now, the page where they have discussed about chasmogamous and cleistogamous flower, there is one chore statement or chore diagram which is hiding over there. You see on the left hand side of the page, there is one pink color flower. It can either be pink color flower, it can be yellow color flower, it can be purple color flower. Okay? But the family to which that flower belongs is Fabaceae. All your dals what you eat at your home, okay, belong to this family known as Fabaceae. And the key character of this Fabaceae family you have studied in morphology of flowering plant, that it will have papilionous estivation. The so-called flower will enclose anthers, and they are never allowing exposure of stigma. See the chore statement. These are the types of statements which will give you question in NEET examination. You will not even wonder that they can ask questions from there. There is simple diagram being given, and below that diagram they have written cleistogamous flower. Okay? But you don't know which particular family does this flower belong to. Actually it is Fabaceae family. Pisum sativum, your chana, that is Bengal gram, horse gram, this gram, that gram, every gram that you are eating, even groundnut, belongs to this family known as Fabaceae. Okay? Now, so Fabaceae, oxalis, camelina, viola comes under cleistogamous. For chasmogamous also we have oxalis, camelina, viola, but not, what do you say, Fabaceae. For chasmogamous flower, they have given image of sunflower along with these names. These three are common for both. How is it possible? Students usually get this doubt. How is it possible, sir? You are telling that in the cleistogamous condition, flower always remains closed. It will never bloom, it will never open up. And in chasmogamous flower, after pollination, it will open up. And now you are telling that oxalis, camelina, viola both come under cleistogamous and chasmogamous condition. How is it possible? Yes, it is possible. The so-called oxalis, camelina and viola have two types of flower. The lower part in the plant, the lower region, will produce cleistogamous flower. The part which is on aerially being present or towards upper part, that region of the plant will show you chasmogamous flower. So there are two types of flower in one plant. Oxalis, camelina, viola. Done? Now, moving ahead, let us talk about next category, that is Cnitonogamous. Cnitonogamy or cnitonogamous condition. What exactly is been a characteristic feature that we observe under Nitonogamy? See, Niton means neighbor. Gamy means marriage. So when we marry a neighbor, so in other terms, pollen of one flower is falling onto the stigma of another flower but of the same plant. Okay? What is Nitonogamy? Condition where pollen of the one flower will fall onto the stigma of another flower but of the same plant. It is neighboring flower on which pollen grain is falling. This is Nitonogamy. Neat point over here is, see, here 100% pollen of the same plant is falling onto the stigma of its own. So there is physical, physiological as well as genetic self-pollination. Means what? Genes of these two remain same. There is no extra or some other organism's genes falling onto it. Number one. Physically, if you see, it is falling onto the same flowers, what is a stigma. Physiological condition is also same, like the same pollen grain is falling onto the stigma. But when you talk about Nitonogamy, neat point over here is physical cross-pollination and genetic self-pollination is occurring in these individuals. See the difference? Physically, obviously, you see two different flowers being involved. Pollen of one flower is falling onto the stigma of another flower. But how about genetic makeup? Genes remain same because it is from the same plant. So same type of genes are falling onto the stigma. This is known as Nitonogamy. Last one is Xenogamy. Like we are from Karnataka, so we don't call it as xenogamy, we call it as genogamy. So in case of genogamy, what do we observe? In xenogamy, we see xeno means stranger. Xeno means stranger. Gamy means marriage. Marrying a stranger whom you never knew, you have not seen. Okay? So in this case, pollen of one flower will fall onto the stigma of another flower of different plant. This plant is different and this plant is different. There is no connection between them. Or it is, even if there is connection, there is, what do you say, they are not from the same branch or they are not from the same plant. So exact definition is when pollen of one flower falls onto the stigma of another flower of different plant. Okay? Of different plant. It can be of same genus, same species, but they are of two different plants. One plant is at this point and another plant is at this point. So they are completely different. In majority of the cases, this particular type of pollination will bring about new varieties. Okay? Western Ghats is the best example. Every year you see n number of plants developing in Western Ghats which were never seen by the people. New plants are rising over there and the older plants are getting extincted. Okay? So genetic variability is the one which will help in formation of new plant. So xeno means stranger, gamy means marriage. In simple words, it is known as cross pollination. Crossing between two individuals. So that is about, what do you say, different types of pollination. This question can be asked for 3 marks, or autogamous all alone can be asked for 3 marks because you have to explain cleistogamous, chasmogamous. Now one neat question over here is, see, chasmogamous is blooming up after pollination. Usually it is opening up after pollination. Once the flower will open up, there are chances that the pollen grain of some other plant can fall onto this, and that pollen grain will germinate faster than the previous pollen grain which is already entering into the sigma. Okay? Hopefully you understood this point. What I am trying to tell is, say there are 2 pollen grains what I have. This is the flower, a chasmogamous flower, probably from oxalis. It has got its own stigma, style, ovary. Pollen grain of the same plant, green in color, will fall onto the stigma. Once it falls onto the stigma, the flower will open up, it will bloom out. Okay, it will expose itself. At that time already this particular pollen grain might have produced pollen tube till half the stage of style. Then after opening up of the flower, you see one strange pollen grain falling onto the stigma. But when it comes to racing, this strange pollen grain is gonna germinate faster and it will leave the green pollen grain behind and reach till bottom and fuse with female gamete. That is the reason why, according to the NEET, according to NCERT, chasmogamous, cleistogamous both come under autogamy, that is self-pollination. But for NEET purpose, please remember, chasmogamous is self-pollinating flower as well as cross-pollinating flower. Chances are there in both the cases. So xenogamy as well as autogamy both are possible in chasmogamous flower. That is about different types of pollination. Now we talk about different agents involved in pollination. Now, agent is the one which is gonna unite male and female reproductive system. When I have to start this topic, I will classify this particular agents into two major groups. One is biotic factors and the other one is abiotic factor. Okay. Abiotic means, I already told you in classes that A means no, bio, living, non-living factors. In this case we have living factors which bring about pollination. So which are non-living factors which can bring about pollination? They should transfer pollen from anther to stigma. In this case we have wind and water. 2W, wind and water. In this case, we have animals involved. Under animals, we would specifically talk about insects because they are the largest pollinators present on the earth's surface. Then we have so-called bats. Especially we are talking about bats separately from animals. Then we have birds. So these are specific types that we are exposing over here. Okay. For NEET purpose, we also talk about snail, ants, snake, etc. Okay. So we also talk about other parts, but we will limit ourselves to this particular topic. Okay. Now, we'll cover up next part in next session. Now I will talk about scientific terminologies for this and then we will move ahead. In this chapter, mainly focus on the diagrams what we have drawn. Diagrammatic questions are the most expected questions in this particular chapter. Okay? So in next session we will continue from the same topic and please make sure that you press the bell icon as well as subscribe and like and give a comment. And make sure that you also circulate this video, and to keep yourself updated, make sure that you don't forget to hit bell icon. Thank you.